Welcome to the show, everybody. We continue to cover the explosion in egg prices, one of the foremost and most important and prominent promises that the current Trump-Vance administration made during the campaign was that grocery prices would go down on day one, which was January 20th, by the way, in case anybody's keeping track, that egg prices would go down on day one. And the opposite has taken place. And in fact, it seems as though supply chain problems, they just follow Donald Trump around like those STDs he avoided, which were his Vietnam or something like that. Remember that whole thing? This is very much another one of these you overpromised and now people should hold you accountable. So let me tell you what's going on and then we'll get to the rationing. Egg prices started at $6.13 per dozen when Donald Trump became president of the United States on January 20th. Now, within those first 10 days of Trump's presidency, egg prices went to $7.09 a dozen. That was an increase of about 15%. That initial promise, don't worry, the prices will come down, seemed not to be happening. This then led to, at the start of this week, a new all-time forever record high egg price of $7.48 a dozen. And I told you about that at the beginning of the week as well. Did egg prices reverse? They did not. Egg prices are up once again, $7.68 a dozen, up more than 25% under Donald Trump. It hasn't even been 1 month yet. Now, I do think it makes sense to acknowledge that there are criticisms of the way that I am presenting this. I am not neutral, but I want to be objective. You might hear me saying this, as some of you did earlier this week, and say, David, you never cared about egg prices under Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden didn't make egg prices a staple of his campaign nor his presidency. Joe Biden didn't promise to get egg prices down. Joe Biden ran on we will get inflation back under control. It is only under the control of a president to a degree anyway. And inflation did get back under control under Joe Biden, although it has started to tick back up again now under Donald Trump. I never made egg prices the issue. The current president did. The current party that controls the White House, House, and Senate did. And I'm simply holding them accountable. Now, then you could say, David, it's only the middle of February, right? You couldn't possibly have expected Donald Trump to lower egg prices this quickly, could you? That's right, I couldn't. But I wasn't the one making that promise. It was Donald Trump who said that he would. It was J.D. Vance saying that they would. And then you could say, well, David, bird flu's going on. That's really why egg prices are up. You can't blame Trump for that, can you? I'm not the one who ignored the reality of bird flu to make the ridiculous promise that I would lower egg prices on day one. So we're simply holding them accountable for what they promised. But now let's get to the new aspect of what is going on. Grocery stores are starting to ration eggs because supply is falling and prices are up. My beautiful pasture-raised orange yolk eggs have gone from about $7.70 most recently a dozen up over $10. I think $10.69 was the latest price. That's if you can get them. I couldn't. They were just missing. When I went to the grocery store after getting back from my trip, the roughly 20 or so varieties of eggs, if you include, organic and non-organic, half dozen and 18 eggs, all of it. There was one option out of the roughly 20. It was 6 organic eggs. And I've got to tell you, I'm not impressed about the yolks. These yolks are nothing to write home about. So now grocery stores are starting to ration. We have learned that Trader Joe's is limiting customers nationally to, depending on the store, 1 dozen or 2 dozen eggs. Now, as a brief tangent here, we spoke about this a little bit on the bonus show yesterday. I don't know how someone could need more than 2 dozen eggs a day, right? I mean, I eat 5 eggs a week, roughly. What is happening? How many kids do you have that you need more than 2 dozen eggs a day. That's where Trader Joe's is limiting it in some stores. Kroger, Walmart, Costco, everybody is starting to limit the amount of eggs that people can buy. This is, of course, reminiscent of what we were seeing during Trump's mishandling of the COVID crisis. So, how far is this going to go? What's the direction it's going to go? We just don't know yet. But for now, what we are seeing is constrained supply and prices up 25% since Donald Trump became president of the United States. I've seen people start to extrapolate, saying, if egg prices keep going up at the same rate as they have during the second Trump administration, eggs will be $2,000 a dozen by the end of Trump's presidency or whatever the case may be. I don't expect that that's going to happen. At some point, I do think something is going to break, but they are the ones who made the promises, and it is our job to now keep them accountable. Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.